Welcome back to Talking Transitions. Today's guest is ex-Premiership footballer, now business owner, Hope Akpan. Hope, thanks for coming down. Been a long time.
Yeah, it's been a while, hasn't it? Been a while.
It has.
Yeah,
Now talk us through being a young lad from Liverpool.
Yeah. Well, I share probably similar stories to yourselves. Just the city, innit? You know? Bit gritty. Grew up in Allerton, went to Dovedale School.
Allerton's posh. What are you saying gritty for? You're saying gritty, you're from Allerton, mate.
Yeah, Allerton, Smithdown. Might ease it off a little bit. But just normal childhood. Obviously, my parents are Nigerian, but was born in Liverpool, grew up here. All my friends are from Liverpool. Yeah, just a normal sort of childhood, really. It was quite, as I say, a bit disciplined as a kid. So I was quite good in school, excelled a little bit. But obviously love football. Yeah.
And where did that come into it? How did football become a big thing for you?
Just through watching the telly, really. It's weird, like on telly it used to always be United, was at that time, the 90s. So I used to like United, Dwight York and Andy Cole. Used to see them up top scoring goals. Espria at Newcastle. So I used to love watching football as a kid. Never really played it, played in the house with like rolled up socks and stuff. But it wasn't something that I went out and did. And then sort of as I got a little bit older in school, year 4 that time, obviously noticed the teachers trying to put a team together. And I signed up, played, and was like decent, you know, started off in goal, but was soon enough out, like playing up front, really, scoring goals. So that's when it just started to feel like, okay, like I enjoy this. And want to make more of it, do more of it. So sort of continue with that. My dad owned a news agent in on Picton Road, and one of his customers come in, saw me in the shop actually kicking a ball about. They went, "Look, don't have to kick a ball about in here. I've got a team up the road in Botanic Park." Went down to train with them. Started playing there. They were called The Action. Remember The Action, Andrew?
Action, yeah. Used to be a youth club, didn't there?
Yeah, youth club there. And again, started off in goal. Yeah. Halfway through the game, I conceded like 2 goals through my legs. And he said, "No, I can't have you in goal. Get up front." Scored. I remember it clearly. I scored 4 in like 5 minutes. And then they were like, "Listen, you're a striker now." So then I was playing there. And that was it mainly. A lot of football. Grew up in that area. There was teams. We played for the same teams a lot of time. Right? Tiber,
Kingsley after that.
After that. But I remember just a lot of my friends. We all played for the similar teams. We just played Saturday league, Sunday league. It was just football.
And did you notice, obviously playing with him as a young lad, did you ever think like he'll go on to play in the Premier League and stuff like that? You always had something.
Yeah, and I was going to say year 4 is quite late to start football, isn't it? Well, nowadays anyway, year 4 is really late to start
Kids
football.
Kids are kicking the ball at 1, 2 years old now, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. So to look back and say he was destined for Premier League, probably not at those ages. It's very hard, isn't it? And there's so many obviously factors that go into that. But obviously he was a good player. I think he come into own a little bit later than that, though. Obviously,
of course, yeah.
But I think I referenced it to be honest with you on a different podcast about strikers, and I can't remember who we had in, but speaking about the sound. And Jack sounds that was synonymous to certain situations that he was going through in the game. And I always referred to it. And it was you said it actually when we was dead young. And I remember Tomo saying, the manager saying, that's a striker's instinct. I think you used to say, you used to love the ball hitting the net, the sound.
That's what he used to say,
yeah. But his manager was like, that's a striker's instinct. That's something that only strikers have. For
sure. Tomo was amazing for us as kids. Your dad was a coach, wasn't he, as well?
Yeah.
Ricky. Like, it's so long ago, but I feel they were so ahead of their time for what they were doing. You know, I think Tomo was into martial arts as well. They were talking about visualization and different things. So it was a kids' team, but like we were serious.
Took it
very, very serious. And it was just every Saturday you'd just be waiting for, you know, Tomo to come pick you up or Ricky to come pick you up. If they didn't come pick you up, that was like, if it was rained off, we had never had no phones or anything like that. So if it was cancelled, they just wouldn't turn up. So, you know, that'll be your weekend ruined. But really good childhood. And I think I actually got picked up by Everton playing for Action in that same park. I think they come to see another lad, Liam Dawson. They'd actually been watching him.
Okay.
They played in the game and scored a few goals. And from then they were like, listen, do you want to come down for a trial in Everton?
How old was you then?
Well, I was 8 then. 8, 9.
That's
So
young.
it wasn't a long time.
Yeah.
For me, it feels like it was like a year or so of me actually starting playing for a team to signing for Everton. So it was just something that came.
Thank God
naturally.
you let them 2 goals go in that day.
Hey, thank God. Yeah.
Because you know what's funny? You know, when you asked, could I see that he's going to be a Premier League footballer? I think the starting team that you went into was full of winners, weren't it? It wasn't a team that was struggling each week. It had a lot of good players.
Yeah. So it was like normal.
Yeah,
to be good.
Yeah.
Yeah. We had you, Adrian, just young names who all went on to like play.
They all played
play
up
for teams.
to
Of
like a good level. Obviously, that starts getting a bit more difficult, doesn't it? Once you start getting to youth team, but everyone was pushing towards getting a professional contract in that grassroots.
I don't know many teams like now in this day, which back then definitely weren't a thing, like coaching about visualization and stuff like that. So you were obviously a bit more advanced than every other team 100%. In that department as well, which we know now it's massive, isn't it?
Yeah, it's obviously very difficult with the grassroots system, isn't it? Because with all due respect, it's usually a dad, isn't it? And you know, some obviously he's got the experience coming from a different from a different sport.
You're right. It was a lucky kind of situation to be in, because Tomo was ex-Olympics, so he was feeding all these little nuggets into us as kids that we just thought might have been normal.
Yeah.
So that pushed us on. That gave us that mindset from then to maybe go on and have a career in football.
And when you got started for Everton at 8, how was your parents at that time?
Buzzing. Didn't really know too much about the system and how it worked. We just knew we had to get to Everton every other day and get there on the weekend. That was the main worry for me, because my mum used to take me. She used to get lost every time we go. So I just wanted to be there on time.
It was hidden though, wasn't it?
Yeah.
it was out the way for us anyway.
It was tucked away, wasn't it? Behind like the houses, wasn't it?
Yeah. So just getting there was like big worry for me. And then just got there and realised like, wow, all these players are really good. But I didn't feel any pressure, didn't feel out of place. Hit the ground running. I remember went down to London to play some teams down there, Arsenal, Fulham. And just scoring goals, just found it really comfortable and not easy, but just was enjoying myself. Yeah.
So I always know you as a centre mid, but we're talking now is obviously as the striker. So when did that start coming into going to centre mid?
Weird. I don't know what happened. The way I can describe it, they used to call me Twinkle Toes. That was like my nickname. But then as I got a bit older, 12, 13, 14, I had like an injury in my hip.
Yeah.
And as a kid, I didn't really like look into it. Just when it started to feel better, you just went back into it. But I remember that moment. I lost pace. I just wasn't as fast as I used to be. But at that time, at that level, we weren't really looking into it that much. So it was as I got to like 14, 15 through the sort of youth team at Everton, I went trying to find a position because I wasn't lightning quick anymore up front. I tried at centre back, and then I think a coach, Gary Ablett, just said, listen, you're a centre mid. You've got good understanding of the game. You've got good athleticism. You're tall. Why don't you try being like an anchor midfielder? And then I went in there and I just loved it. I love Steven Gerrard and Vieira. I like them players. So that's what I tried to sort of do from that point. So it was about 14, 15. It kind of changed for me a little bit.
And what age did you leave Everton?
So I was there from 8 until, so I signed youth contracts there, played through the youth team. We had a good team. RA, we had like Jack Rodwell.
Yeah.
Jose Baxter was a bit younger, but he was in our team.
Wallace
was a bit young. Our actual age group, my actual age, as a team, we weren't that good. We were more like Scousers, like stuff.
My 91s, I was a 92, but the 91s used to go with you. That was a good group. That was for sure.
Yeah.
Back, I think Jose was back.
Yeah.
There's a good few of them.
Yeah.
That was John Nolan was.
John Nolan.
I think he might be 91.
Conor Mack.
Yeah, Conor Mack. So they had more of like the footballing team. They were the ones coming up, winning everything, all their games. We were more like just scousers, a bit tough. Yeah. Just grind.
Just running through everyone.
That's Everton though, isn't it? Realistically. Obviously my age group was quite fortunate because there was a lot of technical players, but Everton, when you talk about technical academies.
Yeah, it wasn't perceived that way.
But they bring some players through though, don't they?
That's it.
Yeah, they do, yeah.
And when I look back, that age might have been not the changing point, but you could see a difference going below them. It became more football orientated. When we were growing up, the lads above us were just tough kids, mate, who were getting coached. And there might be one or two who were really good footballers. But that age, that 91 age, they had a lot of really good footballers. So they kind of intertwined with our team. Got through the youth stages. I only signed the YTS, didn't sign like a pro contract. But just grafted. I was never the best player. I was never he's going to be the one to get to the first team. But just grafted. I had good coaches, Neil Juicenick, Kevin Sheedy, and just tried to figure out my position. Obviously, my main competition was Jack Rodwell. So I was always watching him and trying to like be better than him and push myself against him. And as we got into the second year of pro term, it started to change. I started getting a little look in with the reserves. The coach there, Andy Holden, I could tell he fancied me a bit. He'd always get me under his arm and chat to me separately. And then I came on in a reserve game against Liverpool. We were losing 2-0. I've come on and we've won the game 3-2. I had a really good performance, set up a goal. And then from that moment on, it felt different. Yeah. I was moved over to the reserve team change room. I was in and around the first team a bit more. At Finch Farm, they had two separate sides. And they had the academy side and then the first team side. I moved into that dressing room on the first team side. So I was around the first team, a bit more, serious reserve team level. I didn't really see the academy boys again after that point. So that was a bit of a turning point there.
Do you remember your turning point? Because I think I've just saw Henderson talk about his turning point when Roy Keane was slating all the players, weren't he? And they said about, do you think you can play in the first team? And he goes, yeah. And then from that point, he didn't look back really. Can you remember your turning point?
Not really, no.
Hasn't turned, has it?
No, fucking hell. I was being shit, just getting through
it. It must have been not shortly after you left Wigan and
no, I think obviously I was lucky at Shrewsbury, I guess. Obviously, I was lucky to even get a scholarship. But then the manager, Paul Simpson, he was only small. Obviously, I was tiny. I was 17. A few of the lads used to go up and train with the first team. I was one of them. And then he ended up giving me my debut at 17 for the first team. And there's a picture of me coming on. Oh my God, I look like a little tiny boy. But like my shirt was baggy and all that because obviously,
weren't fitted back
do you
then,
know what I mean? They weren't fitted, but like they just give me a random kit, do you know what I mean? Because it was my first debut and all that. But yeah, I think obviously coming on there, then it gave me like a taste of it and thinking, oh my God, I can do this. I weren't even playing reserves. I was just playing youth team.
Yeah.
And then playing first team football.
Yeah.
So then we started playing with the first team all the time. And from that on, at that point on, they ended up giving me a pro contract. And then I was playing for the first team now.
Yeah.
I think your story is quite unique in the fact that you didn't really have a position so late. But you had inspiration from obviously the likes of Gerrard and Vieira's and stuff like 100%. That. There's not, I don't know, maybe you might disagree, but there's not loads of powerful box-to-box centre mids anymore like that.
No, and that was that era, wasn't it? And I enjoyed that. And obviously being from where we're from and the lads that we grew up with, the lads at Everton, like tackling and being tough was like a big part of it. Demanded it. Not even like the coaches demanded it.
Players.
Just being on the bus.
Yeah.
You had to have a bit about yourself to survive. I seen a lot of young lads who were a bit timid and it affected them. They couldn't train because they were a little bit, not scared, but just didn't have that edge.
Yeah.
So that really helped, having that as a kid and then going through the ranks. And you said something about when was your turning point. I feel like there's a few. That was like a next level. But then I got to that side and was training with the first team and I was like, freaking hell, I am 1 million miles off being anywhere near that. You're joining the sessions here and there, you get a call over, you need extra bodies, you'd go in there and you're training with the likes of Arteta. At that time, Everton had a really good team. Yakubu,
Cahill,
Fellaini. So it was a really high level Premier League setup, obviously top manager. So it wasn't a joke. You go into those sessions and you'd feel like you'd feel like a dummy.
Yeah.
You were just chasing shadows.
What did you feel miles off it when you were training with them?
When I first went over there, I felt miles off it, yeah. You know, I remember one session clearly, it was like a possession session, and the manager told them to, you know, they were only allowed one touch.
Yeah.
We were like all in, but the first team lads were allowed one touch. For the whole time of the possession, we couldn't get the ball off them. They just kept the ball the whole time. So a lot of that, and that spurs you on. You know, that thinks, oh, come on, you've got to push yourself in.
I was about to say, then you can go two ways there. You could be thinking next time I get called over, I'm a bit nervous, apprehensive to go over. Yeah. But obviously, you just said that it spurred you on. So obviously that's your character, isn't it?
100%.
But also, I think, like, I was lucky as well with the first team, lads. When I broke into the first team, I had a few scousers around me. Obviously, it was for Shrewsbury, but like they took me under my wings. Michael Sarms, Kevin McIntyre, Neil Ashton, like scousers. So they looked after me. Yeah. Was anyone in the first team there when you felt like you was miles off? Did anyone come over to you, put their arm around you and help you through it?
Definitely. I mean, the team were in general were like a really down to earth. There was no eggs. There was a really solid setup there. At the time, there was a lot of Nigerian players in the team. Yeah. Victor, Yakubu, Joseph Yobo was captain. Yeah. So they saw me coming over, and that helped a lot. That gave me a bit of confidence. They'd have jokes with me. I'd feel part of it, even though I wasn't. I'd feel part of it. And then obviously as I started, you know, getting around, you know, traveling to games and being on the bench a few times when they had injuries, that helped sort of blend you in. You didn't feel totally out of place. So that did help a lot. Yeah, definitely.
That's massive, isn't it?
Yeah. When I look back, yeah, massive. It helps you just relax a little bit.
Yeah, because we've probably been in setups, all of us as well, when you have that pro who's horrible.
Yeah. But you don't forget it though. You don't forget it because I will always respect them. People are just name them. Yeah. Like 14 years on.
100%.
Like, good lad.
Yeah, love them.
I still see them the same.
Yeah.
Weird, like I still look up to them. And if I do, I spend a lot of time with Victor, even though I speak to the Yakubu and whatever. I still, that respect is nailed
Never
down
change,
because they looked after me.
Was that like, was they an inspiration for you, obviously being from a Nigerian background?
Yeah.
To see them play, and this could be me potentially in a few years.
Definitely, yeah. You know, it helps. Because obviously when I grew up at Everton, I was one of the only black players there.
Yeah, exactly.
So I was always I got looked after. There was never an issue with anything like that. It was such a good club. Like looking back, knowing more what I know now about society, different things around the world, I had no issues with that at all. But looking back, that's because of how good the setup was. But you always have that, you know, that sort of familiarity with the players. I didn't have that, and I had to sort of fit myself in. But then getting to that level and having those there, that definitely helped that sort of transition. And again, the level that was there as well also give you sort of a platform to be like, right, this is what it takes to be at that top level, because they were like ballers, like Stephen Pienaar, Arteta. And I remember one game, it was like an 11v11 practice game. And this is when I was doing okay. I'd found my feet when I was training with them. And I think I've nicked the ball off Arteta and I'm running away from him. And I always thought, he was just like a nice footballer, like tidy. He's actually like slapped me in the face, poked me in the eye, and then took the ball back. And he just said, he didn't even flinch. Just carried on. And that's when I realized, like, wow, like,
you're coming from my place.
Yeah.
These are sentiments. You're coming from my place.
Joke. Yeah. So that sort of gave you that mentality. So that's what it takes.
And did you start like thinking about breaking into the first team? Did you see yourself breaking into the Everton first team?
I always knew it'd be difficult because of the level of players. I did get a chance in the Europa League, but if I look back at my performance, I didn't take the chance. Yeah. I wasn't really expecting it. I was on the bench for the game, and I think Jack Rodwell got injured after like 7 minutes. So obviously I was just enjoying the occasion, thinking I might get 10 minutes, 5 minutes at the end. And I've ended up getting thrown in straight away. And I wasn't ready. I wasn't mentally prepared to, you know, get on and play the full game at that time. So I just didn't quite take that opportunity. And
it's mad when like you can look back at it now, because that opportunity could have went a completely different
100%,
way. Yeah. And like for me, my debut could have went the completely different way. And honestly, after the first half, I was considering at half time just saying there's something up with me. I didn't want to go back out second half. I was going to fake an injury or something, and I was going to give up footy because I was absolutely miles off it. I had like James Collins up front. He was hammering me, and I was shit. I didn't know what to do. Honestly, you know when you just think, I do not know how to kick a ball. I don't know what to do when I get the ball. Don't pass me the ball. I am not on. So I don't know how. I'm not on.
I am not
Miss me out. I'm not on. I don't know what happened, right? I don't know why the manager kept me on, but he kept me on, and thank fuck he did. Because if he would have brought me off, I promise you now, I would not be playing football ever again. But I went out second half on my first start, and I've scored 2 goals.
No, isn't it mad though how marginal it is?
And I tell you, honestly, Andre, I promise you now, if I got brought off at that time, and I should have got brought off, so the manager, thank you. I can't remember who it was, probably Game Turner. But if he brought me off, I generally wouldn't play football ever again because I would have went home.
It's margins, just
it's not played ever again.
You're looking back now, though, what would have made you mentally prepared or physically prepared for that game if you knew then what you know now?
Just sort of actually telling yourself that be ready at any point. Like in my head, it was an occasion for me. I was kind of just enjoying being there. I should have had a different mentality of like, this is your chance to like, and obviously I had that. But I don't think it was nailed down or I got caught by surprise a little bit.
I think you're just in the moment. I remember my debut, my debut in the champ and stuff like that. I thought I would deserve to be there, but you're still just in the moment and you're not really, I don't know, maybe it's your mindset and stuff like that, but 100%. I was just there and I was playing. And like, you're going through it, but looking now, it's like it's the championship debut, like, it's massive, innit?
Of course. Big deal, massive.
But sometimes it's better if you just get called upon like that where you weren't half expecting it.
Maybe
you mightn't have slept for like 3 or 4 days before it, being nervous.
So maybe looking back, I probably didn't do that bad, but I'm like, I want to make an impact. Didn't quite make that impact.
So do you think this one game then kind of
set it for me?
Set the tone for that point, at Everton?
Yeah, definitely. So I didn't really get a look in anymore in that season. And I decided to go, like, I need to play. I need to go on loan. So kind of forced a loan move because I wasn't sure whether they were going to keep me. And I went to Hull in the Championship, which was a bit...
That's a good loan move.
It was a great loan move, yeah. Like, I think my agent at the time sorted it out and it was a good club, like good level again. And it took me a while to get into the team. But then on my debut again, I got thrown in early on. Someone got injured, I'm thrown in, but I was a bit more prepared for it. I was like, I was ready for this. And then we were playing QPR. They were going for the league. They needed to win to actually win the league. And we win them 1-0. And I've set up the goal late on, about 85th minute for our equaliser. So 1-1. So like that was a good debut. Yeah. Like got your bit of highlight. So I was ready for it, enjoyed it. And then I played the last few games of the season. But then again, I started, I think, the last 2. And again, the level Championship, playing Bristol City away. They're fighting relegation. They were on it. I'm a young lad. And I've done okay, but like again, I was like, oh, that's a different type of hard. Yeah. These fellas that you're not getting off. Don't give me a second. Playing against what's his name? Remember him? He was massive centre mid. Just wouldn't give me a second. And when you think, academy football, you get a touch, you play it. He was just he kind of bullied me a little bit at that time. So I didn't get the contract at Hull. So then I was, Everton let me go. I went into a meeting with Moyes and the reserve manager. And they were like, yeah, we could give you another year, but we think you need to go out and find your feet, find your level, basically. Yep. And I kind of, in my heart of hearts, knew that was probably the case. And I was kind of not happy that they let me go, but it set a new challenge of like, all right, I've experienced this. This is where I'm at. All right, let me go and find myself.
Yeah. A lot of people could struggle at that moment where obviously you've been at Everton since you was 8. Got released at what, 18 would you have been at the time?
18,
yeah. So 10 years at a club. Yeah. Obviously loved the club, but done well for you.
Yeah.
And then having that meeting, but obviously your head was screwed on back then to know that it was the right thing for you to do, to go on to progress your career.
Yeah. I think when I look back now, I think what helped me was never being the best player. So I always had like goals to like compete and prove myself. I was always proving myself. So when I got let go, obviously I got good family. I was always grounded. I didn't have a dad who was or a mum who thought I was the world and wanted like be. My parents didn't come to every game. So I had like an identity out of football already. Yeah. Like I wasn't just he's Hope the footballer. There was a little bit of that, but it wasn't solely that. So I think when I look back, I did manage that period quite well. I went on holiday with my mates. Obviously, a few of the coaches at Everton put my name into a few lower league managers. I got a few phone calls. So I wasn't too worried. I thought, I'm going to get a club. I had an agent and he was meeting I met a few managers. So I was like, I'm going to get signed. So I wasn't really, I was nervous and worried, but I was controlled. I thought, I just need to get somewhere and I'll be able to prove myself again.
Do you know when you went to Hull, was that a loan move knowing that I need to get a contract here for next season?
It was, so I spoke to my agent. He was like, listen, it's a shop window. They need an extra body. Go here. In the footballing community, it looks like a good loan move. If you do well, you might get a contract there. You might not. And if you don't, you've got championship games on your CV. So if you do go anywhere else, that's something that you can say. So it kind of worked out in my favour quite a lot.
Yeah. Where did you end up at then after Everton?
So I went down to Crawley Town, which is like the other end of the world to me at that time. Like down by Gatwick Airport. And obviously I said I had a few clubs, I had a few different League One teams, but Crawley had just been promoted from the conference, but they'd signed like 15 players that summer. They were pushing to...
They were having a go empty,
The manager's phoned me up and he's like, listen, we're going to get you on a flight to Gatwick. So I'm thinking, he wants me.
Down the Malia.
So flew down there, went down there, saw the stadium and the training ground. I was like, whoa, what's
this? This is a bit of a difference,
This is mental. But he gave me a good feeling and he showed belief in me. He was like, listen, you're going to play. I've showed me little videos of me playing. You know, you're going to set the team up around you. So he built me up. And I thought, yeah, do you know what? I'll sign there. So I ended up signing there for a year, basically. Year and a year option in League Two at the time. And as I say, we signed loads of players. So we were going to do well. So it was a team that was going to be at the right end of the league. And we did. We blitzed that league, to be fair. We got promoted. There's a few times where I was in and out the team, but then towards the back end of the season, I played every game. And then sort of League One, he left, a new manager came in. And we talk about like luck and opportunity. So a manager came in, Steve Coppell, came in at Crawley for the back end of the season as like a director. Obviously, he'd been manager at Reading for years gone past. And then that League One season, that's probably my best stats season I've ever had. I think before Christmas, I'd scored 10 goals from midfield, playing really well. Was obviously going to get a move at that January time. I had a few different clubs, Crystal Palace, different clubs, and we played Reading in the FA Cup, and I had a blinder. Like just played really well. And literally the week later, I signed for Reading in the Premier League at the time. So that was like a 18-month period of going all the way to League Two. There was times where I wasn't even in the team and they were like, oh, you're going to have to go to a conference club to get games. To a year later, I've signed in the Premier League. So it was like a quick transition of like top football, out of the game, League Two, not out of the game, but League Two, rude awakening, you know, fellas fighting for the dip, like putting the food on the table, to playing, getting a move to the Premier League.
So the move to the Premier League, was that to make an impact straight away, or was that to go there and then go back on loan? And
I don't know what they were
what
thinking at the time, but I got there and I was in the team. I was on the bench, and they were struggling at the time in the league, in the Premier League. They were just like flirting around the relegation zone. And again, I had a big impact. I came there, was on the bench a few games, and then I came on away at Newcastle. I'd impressed in training, to be fair. I've been really good. And we were losing 1-0, St. James's Park. Came on, and I've assisted 2 goals. I assisted the winner. We won 2-1. So I'm like, Premier League, match of the day highlights. I'm like, this is...
Not having to wait up until 12 o'clock now to watch me highlights anymore. I'm on first.
Then 1 a.m.
Oh,
League Two
ones, is it? Keep
bad camera angles and all
honestly.
that. But straight in, deep end, assist, Premier League. I'm like, wow. Next game, play Chelsea at home, losing 2-0. Come on again. I set up 2 goals, 2-2. Again, playing against your idols, Lampard, Terry. I'm like, wow, like this is. I've got all my mates in the hotel of the ground, family there. Like, it doesn't get any better than this, you know what I mean?
Do you feel intimidated at all?
No, not really. I'm just enjoying the game, enjoying, you know, the adrenaline, and the sort of the team is really accommodating to me. And then I forced my way in. I was starting games straight away. Started the next game, we beat Sunderland, got another draw, and then we went away to Stoke. We win them 1-0. And I think they brought on, like, it was a tough game. I remember Stoke away, like, just battered and bruised for the whole game. And then they brought on 2 players at 60 minutes, Kevin Jones and Cameron Jerome, and just blitzed us in the air, scored 2 goals. But we were out of the relegation zone. So it had like a massive impact in a month's time where, like, right, I'm starting, my name's on the team sheet. Then we went, we had like a warm, went to Dubai for like warm weather training. And in my opinion, looking back, as a team, we should never have gone, because obviously I've gone there. I'm a young lad. I'm just, wow, Dubai, first time I've been here. This is great.
Living your life.
Premier League, flying. This is so good. And I'm like training hard, like normal, coming in, going to the hotel, going to the mall. And I think some of the other lads was just out every night, going out, doing what lads do. I didn't have a clue until the last night. Some of the lads are like, oh, do you fancy coming with us? I'm like, yeah. I've gone out, seen Dubai nightlife. I'm like, what the hell is this? This is like unbelievable night out. But I think they've been doing that the whole time. So it was good for the lads, but we got back and we had tough games. We had like all the teams around us, Wigan, Villa, Everton. And we just struggled for like the next month, just lost a few in a row. The manager got sacked. New manager came in. So all that side of football, I was seeing like the brutalness and the harshness and the fine margins of like that level.
This podcast is sponsored by Blythe House, financial advisors for high net worth individuals and business owners. If you're looking for advice in pensions, investments, mortgages, inheritance tax planning, life cover, business loans, and asset finance, then Blythe House has the expertise for you. Head over to the show notes on whatever platform you're listening to this on to find out more. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to like and follow the page. Thank you.
Can I just go back to, obviously, when you got released from Everton and you ended up at Crawley?
Yeah.
What was your mentality and your mindset to obviously make your way back to the Premiership? Was you thinking, I just need to try and make a name in League 2 here and try and get to League 1 maybe? Or was you thinking, no, I'm going to go here, play games, do well and get back to the Premiership, because that's a quick turnaround to get back from League 2 to the Premiership that quick?
100%. But that was I think it's not naivety, but it's just the unknown. And I'm thinking, you don't think how big the gap is or all the teams in between. You just think, I'm going to go there, I'm going to play. And if I'm good, I'll get a move. So that was the mentality going there. It was very difficult, like going to live on your own, other teammates, different personalities. Not everyone's a top pro, like at Everton. You had players who were just taking a piss. Some players who were the same position as me, young, trying to go places. Other lads who were just chilling at that level. So you have to be quite, really focused on yourself and not be too distracted
by the right
the
people
ones
as well.
who are trying to go again.
Because it's easy to get mixed up with the wrong people, and obviously your career could have went the totally wrong way, as it happens to a lot of young people, don't it?
So easy, because as I say, there's lads there who are a bit older. They're not really trying to go anywhere.
No.
They're just comfy with the wage at that level, or they know they're not going to get big moves to go higher up. So they're just comfy. So if you get in with that crowd, you're going out with them, you're not really pushing yourself. You can be a young lad who just doesn't go anywhere or falls out of the game because of that.
You've touched on it there a little bit, but what is the difference then from the players in the Premier League to, you played every league, you played Premiership, Championship, League 1, League 2.
Yeah.
What is the difference in, like, obviously mindset, mentality, and obviously performance as footballers?
Yeah. It's obviously that level of dedication. You 100% see that, the difference in the Premier League boys compared to some of the League 2 players or League 1 players. It's that dedication to doing all the right things all the time. Don't get me wrong, there's a lot of lads in those lower levels who really do that and do look after themselves and eat the right things. And
especially now.
Now.
Now, definitely.
Back then, it definitely wasn't like that. But I'd say throughout my career, the game has changed so much where the awareness of that side of the game has gone through the roof at every level. But back then, maybe it was only the top level boys who were doing all of that.
It was the same with me back then. Obviously, I was playing League 2. I remember playing against you.
Yeah.
Against Crawley when you was then getting you moved back to the Premiership and all that. But
yeah. scored a good goal against us, didn't you?
I did, yeah. I think I ran from the halfway line. If you want to,
He always does this. He lines up.
times I've
No,
heard this
he lines up things just so the guest goes. Oh,
I think I did anyway. I don't
yeah.
know if I did or not. But
Yeah.
no, but back then, obviously, I was going out
Did
a
you
lot.
just get promoted as well?
I
That
think
season?
I might have got promoted. I had a couple of promotions. I
Have
think.
you?
I don't know if that was one of the years. But like that group anyway, I was a young lad, but like we was going out a lot. Like we were going out. I was having a time of my life. I was only 18, playing the first team football, going out all the time, thinking this is great.
Yeah.
Now it can't happen. Like honestly, I can honestly say this now. I'm playing for Doncaster in League 2. It can't happen. It doesn't happen, and it won't happen. Like the lads won't allow it to happen. Like you can't drop your standards now. You just get fucked off or you get left behind. The lower
100%.
leagues now are hard, and it's hard to stay in the game because if you're not doing it right, you'll get fucked off.
Yeah,
you get left behind.
I think
Can't do it now.
Back then it was more like physical. Now everyone's can run 5K in 18 minutes. Everyone's a specimens. All the young players are super fit. I think the age level of the game has gone down. Back then it was, you'd have 2 or 3 young players and the rest of the team were like 28 plus. Now it's the opposite way around. You have a team of young lads and maybe a few older lads.
Before I retired, I was in a team. I was the old player and I was like 29.
Yeah.
And I was thinking like,
how's that happening?
Yeah, it's crazy, you know?
Yeah. So that's one thing that I've noticed through the game is it's got a hell of a lot younger. Back then it was a lot of senior players and maybe a couple young lads.
The young lads now are assets for the football clubs, aren't we? Where liabilities must have been the biggest liability ever, to be honest. But,
but I think it's mad though, because obviously, if you think back when we was like 20 or whatever, and you see those players like 35 and stuff, they was obviously still really good players and with big impacts on the team.
Yeah.
Do you think you could still be, obviously, I know you've retired now, but at 35, if everything was going the way, it could have, except for obviously COVID and stuff like that. Do you feel like you could have been that impact at 35 for like that club?
I think the game has changed. I just don't think you have to be such a good player, like exceptional player technically to survive. Or be an unbelievable athlete, like say a James Milner or something like that, to survive in this modern game, because the level of intensity is so high. There's so many games. Like the game has changed. At Crawley, there was lads who couldn't really run, and that's where I had success as a young player. So I played in the midfield, and the manager would always say, "Oh, he's losing his legs. Run off the back of him." And that was where I got success. Now everybody's got legs. Everybody can run. Yeah. So it's just more maybe about strategy, technical ability, sort of playing to the manager's systems more than it was back then.
I think you'd have to be lucky as well regarding staying fit as well, because that helps with the physicality of things. Like if you have injuries and all that, you lose certain things like pace and all that. 100%. But at Doncaster, we had James Coppinger. He was playing in League One. At the time, we were fighting to get promoted to the Championship. He was like 40, nearly 41.
Remember him.
And honestly, he was the best player. Like still a 40.
Remember Gary Jones for Rochdale?
Yeah.
He was the ultimate pro, like when I played with him, and he was 39 when he was playing. Yeah. And he could still run more. He obviously wasn't fast, but he could still run more than most.
There's definitely a few gems who were like that back then.
Our captain now still is Richard Wood.
Okay.
Starting from Rotherham. I played with him at Rotherham as well.
Yeah.
But he's a centre half. He was like 39. Richard Wood. It's funny his name's Wood because he's very stiff like a wood. But his body, like I don't know whether it's just natural because like you wouldn't look at him and think, look at his body, he's ripped and all that.
He's never had to sprint. He's never sprinted.
He's got an 8 pack in that. Like honestly, he's kept himself in unbelievable condition in pre-season. We're doing runs, and I'm thinking, Woody, like, surely you're not going to keep up with lads. He's fucking setting the standards at 39 almost. No, you know what? You're a legend, fair play to you, because you're still at 39, driving the standards every day. Yeah. That is
that's what I'd say. Standards every day. Training like it's a game. Because even at Reading, we played with Royston Drempher. Yeah. So played for Real Madrid. Unbelievable ability. But just a player who just didn't look after himself.
Just sloppy around here.
He'd be at the casino nights before games. Was just had a bit of weight on him, and even for all his ability, he just couldn't keep up with the lads fitness wise.
Do you know what that is? I think literally that transition could have happened for yourself when you went to Crawley, when you've been such at a high level, and then obviously no disrespect to Reading, but he's been at Real Madrid, and
couldn't get his head around it probably.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So, and I mean, I don't agree with it, but like I can relate to it and I can understand.
And obviously money and stuff like that, companies obviously earn crazy wages. Probably didn't have that motivation anymore. And one thing I've found as well in football is players, they're motivated by different things. Some players get the wages that they want, and then that's them. They can't quite find that motivation. Some players want to win trophies, get promoted. They'll always have that motivation. So motivation is a massive part of what you were saying before about always the factors of the different levels. Confidence is one for me as well. Like, I was a player who sort of, if a manager fancies me and I knew I could have a bad game, but he's going to play me the next game, that give me I'd be a totally different player.
I think that's big for everybody, though.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
do you reckon?
Yeah,
But I felt the same. I don't know. I think it affected me a little bit more. If I had a manager who was like a bit unsure, or like he had a game and he flit and flat, or he changed, bring someone else in all the time, or I don't know, you could just tell he fancied someone else. It'd play on my mind, and I always think, if I slip up here,
you're out the team.
But that's it. That's what I'm
and
saying.
It wouldn't help me.
Yeah.
That's something I struggled with, I think.
Yeah, but then it's on the flip side. You're not thinking about if I slip up here, because you know that you've got the backing of the manager.
So you're just free to play and express yourself.
Yeah.
And do what you're good at. If a manager's like, he's not really feeling you. There's a reason why he's not really feeling you. You worry about those things, and then they're not quite your best things, and then you end up fucking yourself up. You know what I mean? So I found the best players just didn't, like the best players from where we're from, like a Ross Barkley, Shane Duffy, they're not even thinking that deep about stuff. They're not really caring. I don't know. No offense to them.
No, this is right, and I'll be offensive because I don't really care. But I've heard like the best footballers aren't very clever.
No,
and this is what I've been told. It makes sense. Not clever, but they just don't let anything affect them. They're just a bit like dopey, or like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just 100%.
Like just in 1 year out, the manager might say that was shit, and they forgot about it, and they're ready to do the next thing.
Yeah.
Like Duffy, I don't know, he had some crazy, like, obviously had a crazy injury.
Yeah.
Nearly lost his life. You won't mind me saying, but he weren't the best professional. He'd go out on the piss, or
have a few drinks to get on Twitter and start arguing with all the fans.
There you go.
When he was about 18, 19, he was funny. Yeah.
Hey, I remember one time he scored like 3 own goals in a week, and then we had a game on TV, and he was unbelievable.
Yeah.
Got a move. So like, things just don't affect him that deeply, Ross is the same. He's just not. He's just a simple lad, isn't he? You know Ross. You probably know Ross quite well. Simple lad, but on the pitch, he's just like, he's a machine.
That's the funny thing about some really, really top footballers. The IQ on the pitch is just different.
It's different level. They're seeing different things.
Yeah. Maybe you said the wrong words. Maybe they are clever. They're just not overthinkers. Maybe it's come down to just overthinkers.
100%.
I might have been an overthinker, to be honest with you.
Yeah, potentially, Just being in the moment. Sometimes you're overthinking things.
What would you say to young lads who are at the top academies and they do get released? It's not the end of the world. It's an opportunity to go and play games, to then go back up there. Obviously, a lot of people could get left, could get released. The confidence goes. They could struggle when they go down to, they see Crawley, they see the training ground, the stadium. What advice would you give to the young lads at academies that do get released?
Yeah, I think football is brutal in that way. As a young lad, as a pro, as an older pro, it's brutal regardless. But I think when you've had more life experience, it might be a bit easier to deal with. When you're a teenager, you've been at a club all your life, you've got no other life references, life experiences. All you've known is football. All you are is your identity is football. It's impossible to not have that affect you deeply, because you haven't expressed yourself or your life in any other domain. So once that's taken away from you, it's like, who the hell am I? And don't get me wrong, that still affects footballers as we get older. Lads who finish their careers, have had great careers, finish, put the boots up, wake up the next day. Who am I? I've just been this footballer my whole life. What's the next step? How do I reprogram my mind? Everything's always been kind of not done for me, but you've always had a structure of your life. You've always had a timetable, wear this, do this, be here at that time, train this way, eat this way. So when all that's not there for you, and you've got to sort of put the pieces in place for yourself, some people just don't know how to do that. So I think that's hard regardless. But when you're 16, 17, 18, it's even harder because you've got no reference point. You've got no life experiences, life skills to that point. So it is a big fall. And I've seen some lads really struggle with that.
Yeah.
15, 16, didn't quite make it. It's so hard to essentially recreate yourself as someone else or something else. That's what it seems like in your head. But as you get older, and I can see now, the world is massive. There's so many opportunities, so many things you can apply the same principles from football, as in working hard, pushing yourself, grafting every day, waking up when your body's in bits from a training session or a game, going again. You know, that mentality, that grit, you can apply that to whatever you want to put yourself into. And I think some lads don't realise that you can actually do that and it's just a different thing that you have to apply yourself in.
It's difficult for the young ones, isn't it? Obviously, they've dedicated, as you say, some of them have been in the academy system for the entire time that they play football.
Yeah, 100%.
They've maybe neglected the other parts of it, obviously the education and stuff like that. Obviously, it's becoming a lot more.
Yeah, I think it's different. It's they've got a little bit more help now.
Yeah.
But even back then, I had a little bit of help, but the world wasn't the world as it is now. We didn't have social media. We didn't have Instagram where you're seeing all these different opportunities at the touch of a button. It was like, what am I going to do now? What's my reference point? And unless you've got an unbelievable family or you're around people, successful people, you might just be around your mates who are doing nothing.
But even at 18, most people don't know what they want to do anyway. Do
No
they
one knows what they want to do.
I wouldn't have a clue what I would have done.
No, of course. But I think, you know, if you've got people around, you've got family, that's a little bit of a cushion. It's not everything because it's still down to you. But I think there's a lot more in place now for players, hopefully, where they've got pathways or sort of places that they can go to find a new route into find themselves, basically.
Yeah, we'll go on to what you're doing now, but like you've had a great football career. You played in the Premier League all the way down to League Two, back up to the Premier League. You've retired at a young age. I just want to touch on like why you come to that decision, how old you was, and like talk us through like the later stages of your career before you made that decision to stop playing.
So I was at Reading. I left Reading and I went to Blackburn and played in the Championship. And then I sort of made the decision, I think because we got relegated with Burton. But I'd found that manager in Cloughie who was like, whatever happens, you're playing. And I found form again of scoring goals. We just like fine margins. We got relegated on the last day of the season. I'd actually scored in the game thinking that I was keeping us up. Yeah. But then the results went against us. Bolton got a last minute goal, 1-3-2. All we needed was a draw or to match their results. So I've gone from, oh my God, I've kept us in the league to relegation. And I made the decision to leave Burton. But look back, it was like a little bit more money. But that's a situation where you've got a manager who trusts you, who backs you. It's so important. And I should have known that, knowing what I've just told you before about confidence. But, you know, life's happening. You're making these decisions all the time. And that was one of those decisions which I look back on and I think I should have.
So did he stay with them when they went down?
Pardon?
Did he stay with the club when they went down?
Clough? Yeah, he stayed. He wanted me to stay. He was desperate to sign me. Right, made a.
What league was this? And then so they got relegated to what league?
So we were in Championship, got relegated to League One.
And then did you go to Bradford?
I went to Bradford, and then ended up getting relegated to League Two. So as quick as I went up, 1 minute I was playing. One season I was in the Championship. The next season, literally the next season, I was lacing my boots up in League Two. Yeah. So
you made that decision to go from a League One club to another League One club for a little bit more money. Obviously, I'm not going to ask you.
Thinking bigger stadium,
location as well, a little bit closer.
Not really.
Not that much different.
It was more, you know, we think we're a big club, but we're going to push in the right way.
Which it is. Bradford obviously is a big club. Like, and everyone does. Yeah. And they always do this thing with the season tickets before every season. Do you know what I mean?
We got 20,000 first
all the time. So it does attract players.
It definitely sucked me in. But under the hood of that club was like, it was just a mess. Yeah,
but it weren't just a little bit more money, really, was it? It was obviously a big club as well.
That was a part of it. But the big club, 20,000, thinking I'm gonna that fire in my belly. It won't be like a League One club where not many fans just plodding along. It was I thought, good club, gonna go in the right way, playing in front of fans, which is what we all want to do. You know,
you go there,
and it's just an absolute I don't know if you can swear on it, but it's just a bit of a shit show, really. Just the organisation, different managers coming in, manager for 4 weeks, manager for 8 weeks, and I had a big injury. So I dislocated my shoulder at Reading, but I had great physio, had surgery straight away, sorted it, and I didn't have no issues for about 3 or 4 years. And then it popped out. The new manager's first session, and I've tried to knock it past the kid and I've slipped, dislocated my shoulder, and then I didn't have surgery because the club said we can just sort of physio it, get you back, and I wanted to be back quick.
Yeah.
Because I'd signed there, I only had 2 years. I wanted to play, so I chose not to have surgery, and then I just struggled with it until now. Like I dislocated the other day doing Muay Thai.
I'm not surprised. You're doing fucking double sessions of Muay Thai.
Dislocated again.
At the what Andre, the top level is it now, is it? The advanced level? Advanced level now, Muay Thai?
Level, yeah, there you go. So that I struggled with that at Bradford. Yeah. Just as a midfielder, I always thought it's going to come out.
You've done the best assist I've ever seen at Bradford, by the way.
Bradford?
Yeah. The best assist ever.
What?
For the opposite team, Avantoni. You basically put the ball off. You stopped it from, didn't you? Listen, that was unbelievable. Have you seen it?
No, I've not seen it.
Thinking about it, I set him on his way, mate.
That was
that moment, he's
just
gone like that.
Yeah. Talk us through that.
Definitely get that in one of the reels.
Tell Andre what happened.
I think we were it was just a normal game. I think it was like 2-2, something like that.
Went up in here, didn't it? Like the halfway line.
And the rest give a foul, and I've got the ball in my hand, and I'm like, I'm backing up into position. I'll just roll it. I'll throw the ball.
He doesn't. He puts on a fucking little.
So with a little bit of backspin.
He's just pinged the first time.
Halfway line, something.
No way.
Oh
my god.
Went on to score a hat trick. Got to move the next month.
To be honest with you, though,
he's in the race. He's going to Arsenal next week.
No way. That's mad. But obviously, that shows the confidence he had at the time. He's banging goals in.
Exactly.
He just needed
someone like exactly the confidence you fucking put on a play for him.
I just needed someone like you.
Yeah, Ivan put that in the goal.
He got an assist fee.
He got me bonus. Yeah. But it's had a tough time, and then
did you fall out of love with it a little bit? Like, because obviously
it come abruptly all end, didn't it? It did.
Yeah. So I was traveling up there. I just had a kid.
Don't say travelling up there like it's fucking far. Bradford's not even that far.
Mate, if you ever get on that
I go past Bradford every day, mate.
You get on that 62,
I do,
mate.
every day.
I think John is.
Are you in a car school?
A car school, yeah.
Yeah, we had a few, but mate, that journey's horrible at times.
I've done it because I used to play for Guiseley and go past it.
Oh,
and I used to go over another 30 minutes to be fair. But
another 30 minutes? That's a fucking.
No, I think John is probably League Two's most travelled football.
Most travelled football, and everyone wonders why I'm foot.
Not out of choice either.
That's why you can't move.
Everyone wonders why I'm foot.
Yeah, exactly. But touched on it. That's a point as well. I travelled. Blackburn, Burton. Probably does affect you. You know what I mean? You're doing a lot of hours in the car, aren't you?
Yeah.
When you look back and
stop fucking killing me, mate.
Oh, I do think if I just moved and stayed there for like a year, got a little flat or something.
So you commuted to all these places?
Always commuted, yeah.
Did you? Yeah. Well, definitely.
Definitely not Reading, no Crawley. Yeah. You was living down there.
No, I was living down there, yeah. Don't get me wrong, at Crawley, I'd be straight back up to go to news bars.
Yeah, you know.
Flight, he's getting the flight from the German.
Get the flight back.
No, when he was about to go on loan to the conference, then flights got.
I brought you home actually one game, I think.
Oh yeah, there you go. Yeah,
we played against him and he's asked to fucking lift on. I had to take him back home.
Yeah.
But yeah, it did come abruptly.
Yeah. So Bradford, we were in League Two at the time. We were doing okay. We were in the playoffs. Again, manager issues. New manager come in. Still I play most games, to be fair. We were about 4. We were just outside the playoffs, maybe in the playoffs, but jumping in, dropping out. And then obviously COVID came. So nobody knew what was going on there. It was obviously my last year contract. We're discussing furlough, discussing are we going to get paid, what's going to happen, are we going to finish the league? So we're at home, just all these things going on in my head. But it was a time to just sort of be at home, be with my family, and, spend some time in my house, in the garden. My mum, my dad, who I haven't really
stuff they haven't been used to for a long time.
Just sit down and just be comfortable with me.
Yeah,
like that's what I used it for. Just get comfortable with me, and got the phone call off Bradford. They're not gonna keep me on for the next season. You pay to the end of the season, but you're gonna have to get your own club. So doing a lot of training by yourself, done a bit of work with Tom Owens, and the landscape just changed. I was on maybe good money for that level.
Yeah.
Obviously, because of how quick I dropped down. And the offers I was getting just weren't anything that in that moment that I could jump, shake a stick at. So I didn't sign. I had offers, but didn't really sign anyone. I was just waiting to see if the right opportunity would come up, and the situation just petered on until the season had started. Clubs were back, lads were playing, and an opportunity abroad came about, and I sort of just ran with it because I'm not a player who can spend too long not playing.
No.
You know, even if I had a few injuries or, as you say, the manager didn't play me for a game and then would put me back in.
You're not going to
I always needed a run of games to get to my best form. So
where did you go abroad?
I went to Scandinavia, went to Finland, which was a bit out there at the time, but I had a friend who was playing there, so he told me about the club, so I was prepared for what I was getting into. But I just couldn't adapt. You know, it was minus 20 degrees. Games were played indoors on Astro. I just couldn't get my head round going from a 20,000 seater stadium full to a dome with a few people watching, but it's a serious game. I just couldn't get my head around it. So it was a bit difficult to deal with. New sort of young family going there, can't speak the language. So it didn't go quite the way I wanted it to go. So I came back, and then all those sort of things, went on a few trials here and there, went to a team in Saudi, went to Wrexham, and a few things happened which just pissed me off really in regards to getting told, we're going to sign you, and then something happens where they don't.
Common theme, not enough.
Yeah, so I lost a bit of faith in football and just said, you know what, I'm just gonna leave it. If something really good comes up, then I'll have a look at it. But I'm not like ringing round trying to get in places.
You didn't want to sell yourself.
Didn't want to.
No,
just couldn't do that.
How old was you then when you made that decision?
That was 31.
Not many people could do that at 31 though, because they'd need the wage. Do you know what I mean?
Of course. And obviously I've been lucky enough to have a decent career and not been too daft and spend all everything that I earned. So I was in an okayish position to have a period of time where I could make a transition or go down different routes.
Had you started doing anything in the last couple of years, like planning for the future?
Yeah, so obviously I planned, once I'd left Reading and left Blackburn and went to Burton, that was a little bit of a drop in wages. Yeah. And then from that point, I'd put things in place. Luckily, I've got good friends who are one of my best mates is an accountant, another one's a financial planner. So I was always around those conversations. So I managed to sort myself out a little bit in that domain. And then in terms of what I wanted to do, I wasn't nailed on. No. I'd studied while I was at Crawley, to be fair. I was doing an open university course. So I was open to doing different things. As I say, as a kid, I was quite academic, but I hadn't decided what that was. I didn't think I'd go back into football just because I'd had all these weird relationships with managers and coaches. Yeah. It kind of put me off doing that. So me and the missus in the first lockdown, obviously, you know, everyone's health crisis. I'm trying to keep as healthy as possible for me, my missus, my daughter.
Speak for yourself, mate. That lockdown, I was a fucking pisser for me.
Was ya?
Yeah, I was drinking most days in lockdown. Like.
Don't get me wrong, I was enjoying myself, but when you're watching the news and you're saying, "Oh, people are dying, people are sick," I was like, right, I'm not. I've never been. I'm not getting sick. So I shoot back to my Crawley days. There was a guy I played with there. He was like the first vegan footballer. Dean Howley was.
Yeah.
Really good, decent player, but he was so into his nutrition.
That raw sport.
Yeah. So he was feed for that year. I was with him. I was trying all this stuff and all these supplements and superfoods and little herbs. And so throughout my career, I always had them, always used them at different times. Getting back from an injury or I'm feeling like I can't get going. I'd always revert back to those things. So when the lockdown came, I bought all this stuff again, stuff that I already had, and we were experimenting. We were making smoothies, making juices and whatnot at home.
Loads of time in it.
Yeah, loads of time, nothing to do. My missus started getting excited by it. Started getting into it, getting into it as well.
Excited, hitting the right taste buds.
Yeah, hitting the right spot. You know, was getting into it, and she was experimenting as well. Looking online, we were experimenting with different flavors and whatnot, making some for the baby. And then before we knew it, we had these like different things that we were having every other day. And we were like, this tastes so good. Invited a few of my friends round, family. Taste this, like it's nice, isn't it? Like, what's this? So just like that. And then we thought, you know what? Everyone's depressed. Everyone's struggling. Let's give this out to we had like a Facebook group and a WhatsApp group for where we lived, our estate. So we got on there and we were like, guys, you fancy, we're going to deliver these. Like, this is the price. Do you want to buy them? People everyone's at home, aren't they? So they're like, yeah, we'll try them. Gets them delivered out. Before we know it, we've got like a line of people calling us or messaging us saying, oh, have you got those bowls again? Or we're going to order 5. We're going to order. So we thought, hold on a minute. I had a little black book of loads of didn't even know what to call them, customers or whatever. So then it just grew from there. And then we made an Instagram page. Before I knew it, I was a delivery driver delivering these things all around Liverpool. And then this was before I went to Finland though. So when I went to Finland, it kind of knocked it on the head. Went over there, played, came back. And then when I got back, we were like, you know what? People love those things. So we find a shop? Or we didn't know what we were going to do. We were just like, should we find a shop? Should we set it up? So we just took a deep dive, set up the shop, found the location in South Manchester, and just went all the way in on it, yeah.
So you started Plant Boost?
Started Plant Boost from there. So obviously we had the following that we had on Instagram. We had the cult following. We had customers already because people had sampled the product. And we knew it was good. We knew people were repeat customers. We knew people liked it. Like people would call us and say, oh, can we have 5 Monday and then 5 the next week? So we knew it was good and people liked it. And obviously everyone was on that health conscious, trying to live a more health conscious lifestyle. That's the way I'd lived my whole life. So me and my missus were quite well traveled. Obviously every international break, every summer, we'd go different places. We just thought, right, in England where we are, it's not a nice atmosphere. We just want to feel like we're on holiday every day. So we implemented that into the design, the sort of shop look, obviously the great product that we had. And yeah, we just opened the doors, come in, and then we've just built it from there, really.
In hospitality, like location's probably one of the most important things, isn't it?
Yeah.
So because you already had this black book of people, is that your main focus? We need to open near enough for these people to...
You know what? We did the absolute opposite.
Really?
We started, and mainly we were in Liverpool, but...
well, the Scousers on the health one.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, that would have been successful as well. But because it was socially driven on social media, we thought, all right, where do footballers live? Where do some key influencers live?
Yeah.
And we found this location in Hale, and it kind of worked to our advantage because everyone who'd come in, you know, they might have 100,000 followers or 500,000 followers or be people of influence who people see they're going to go as well. So that really snowballed for us in the early days. And the location's it's not like on a main front. It's not like super visible, but the product's good. You know, what we're giving is proper food. It's not.
So what are you giving, Hope? Talk us through.
So it's superfood. So the superfoods that I mentioned before off Dean, we specialise in something called acai. I think
I call it
acai or something. Acai. Typical Scouser.
Yeah, acai.
He needs to get some barley.
I know.
Yeah, and he hasn't travelled, has he?
Get to barley and farm yourself.
Local lad, isn't he? You know. But we specialise in superfood, so we implement that into smoothies, juices, the smoothie bowls. It's all fresh. It's all, you know, very uplifting food. It doesn't weigh you down, gives you energy. So all those things that I used it for playing football, I've implemented it into sort of common practice. So anybody, doesn't matter if you're a fitness fanatic or just someone trying to find a healthier option. There's something, it's enticing. We still use peanut butter and Nutella and different things that people are familiar with, fruit, bananas, strawberries. But those superfoods, we blend them in and everyone's just getting an amazing taste of goodness as well as unbelievable taste as well. And obviously we worked on customer service and energy and stuff like that to sort of create the atmosphere. But it's a great place. It's a great place to be. Obviously I've done a lot of work there myself in the kitchen, behind the bar. So that was a bit of a transition, getting used to that. But
how did you find that then? Just on that, like obviously you was playing in the Premiership, but now you retired at 31, and now you're working in the kitchen. Yeah, obviously it's your own business, so it's like you know your baby, isn't it? So it's your own business. But how did you find that transition?
I guess it's a bit of I think luckily for me, I'd had those rises and falls, so I'd never had a career where I was always at the top, and then I'm down here, and I don't know. I've got a massive ego, don't know how to deal with people. I'd always had different transitions throughout my career, throughout my life. So I've never been too big time or too too big to do anything. I've always been kind of the same sort of person. So getting behind there, don't get me wrong, is a bit of a, what's this person going to think? Or there was a bit of element to that, but I got over that very quickly because, as you say, it was my own business. I was proud of it. I was really happy with what we were doing. It was a feel good, seeing people enjoy your produce, seeing people come in happy and enjoying being in your space. So after a while, that feeling of like, oh God, who's watching, was just overridden by this is a good business. People like it. People are enjoying this space. And then sort of transitioning to that was the main focus. You forgot about or thinking anything otherwise because that was so dominant in your mind and your day to day.
And equally, the more effort you put into that business, the more you're going to reap rewards from it, isn't it? So
exactly,
you know that you're not like working for an employee where you're like, oh, I'm putting all this work in and you know, I'm not getting nothing back from it. You're putting all this work in, but it's only going to help your business.
100%. But I agree with what you say there. But even being an employee working for somebody else is fine. We've worked essentially as footballers, we're working for somebody else anyway. So I think there's a stigma behind that. Like you've got to own your own business. You work your way up. I know. There's few of my friends are accountants, as I said, and financial planners. They're flying. They've worked for other people their whole lives. So whether you're doing your own thing or working for someone else, just have that focus internally on you. You're trying to better yourself every day, trying to find a better position, trying to do better, trying to climb up. As long as you've got that main focus, you'll be all right.
What I'd say on that point, though, Hope, is obviously they've done that from really young. So,
okay,
do you know what I mean? So,
as a footballer,
no, like obviously you've retired at 31. So if you used to start that journey to become an accountant and get up to those points of where maybe the people around you are, you're going to be 40s, aren't you? Do you know what I mean? So it's like, have you got those 10 years to build that experience, that skill set to be in a position where you're going to be comfortable and do you know what I mean? So,
so how do you think someone deals with that? What do they need? Patience?
Well, patience is one of them, but obviously finances is another big thing, isn't it? Obviously coming out of football.
You don't want to rush and be desperate, like when you retire straight away to go into a job and be desperate. Being desperate must be the hardest thing in the world for anyone going into any job, really.
True.
I think the biggest thing for footballers, which determines what they do after football, is finances, in my opinion. I don't know what your thoughts on it, but I think, you know, for example, if they've got a passion for, I don't know, XY. So Jack McCreth, for example, he went in and started doing accountancy whilst playing. So then he's not having to do that kind of, that little apprenticeship after football where you may not be on the greatest of wages. Obviously, you've still got bills to pay and stuff like that. So I think the biggest factor is finances.
I agree, because it can't be like down to like skills and stuff like that, because as footballers, there's loads of transferable skills that go into business and jobs and stuff like that, which are great. And like obviously people would want, I believe that people should want like footballers after they finish going into jobs and business and help grow their company 100%. Or whatever it is, because
you've obviously showed a level of determination, a level of delayed gratification,
discipline
to get to where they've got to.
Working in a team environment as well, which is massive in any business.
And I think I've used that with the team that we've got, the staff that we've got. It's like we had a meeting this morning, actually, like a team meeting, and there's a lot of principles that I take from football into that meeting of working as a team, covering someone else's back. Seeing when somebody's lacking a bit, covering in for them, communication.
That's funny, you know, because it's like, I don't know whether it happens, but like you just said, you had a team meeting. I got a message from my cousin this morning, like a voice note. He said, lad, you know, if you're playing, and obviously in football, and like say if you'd have a meeting afterwards, after a game or whatever, like people come for each other if like they're missing chances or they're not scoring goals or they're not pulling the weight, because like obviously the job I'm in now, like if they're not pulling their weight or they're not doing it, like can I tell them? And I was like, obviously I don't know how it works in that environment, but obviously if people aren't reaching what they should be doing or not hitting the tags that they should be hitting, it should be a meeting, an open meeting. 100%. They speak about it to drive each other on.
100%.
I watched
we're used to it, aren't we? As footballers, we're used to getting fucking hammered in front of everyone, taking it on the chin. Obviously,
100%.
You're walking out the meeting thinking, fucking, I'm just being hammered there. But when you go into another job, you're used to it. Like
I've been hammered by 30,000 fans saying you're shit, and you still have to go and get the ball and do do whatever. But
I'm
I
not
found
on. I'm
that
not on. I'm not on. I'm not on. No, miss me out. Miss me out.
But I found out very quickly that as well as there's a lot of transferable skills, people aren't used to environments like that where someone can call you out and call you out. There was a few situations where somebody I thought wasn't hitting the standard, and I've called them out on it, and they haven't been able to deal with it and took it personally or just couldn't handle with my approach. So there were things that I had to learn and change in terms of communication, dealing with people, speaking to people, understanding where they're coming from, because not everyone can handle the dressing room where someone's saying, you were shit, you're crap. But then after the game, if you put in a performance, it's totally forgot about and you're the best mates again. That's not normal. That's not normal in society.
Yeah.
So there's that learning curve as well, that you can't speak to everyone and think it's okay because I'd let them speak to me and be fine.
You can't go head to head with someone in the office and then 5 minutes later shake hands and it's over.
Be like, calm down, I'd want to go.
But in footy and training, it happens.
Happens all the time. Happens all the time. So that was a bit of a learning curve as well.
What are the plans for Plant Boost for you for the future? Obviously, you said you've got Plant Boost in Hale. Are you looking to open anywhere else? Liverpool's quite close.
Looking to try the Joe the Juice, go global.
Yeah, I mean that's the idea. We've got a solid brand now. You know, it is a brand. We have built it up to. It's more than just sort of a single shop. Location, it's a cult following. A lot of people know who we are and what we are. We stand quite strong in a very competitive sort of marketplace. We're quite distinctive. So we have got plans. They've been a bit delayed. It was meant to happen last year, but hopefully we'll be going into one of the biggest shopping malls in the UK.
Nice.
Hopefully towards the end of summer this year. So that's a big step for us. Obviously, we've got to get that right in terms of execution and systems and procedures. So got to get that right. But if that's the plan, you know, it's the business. You want to grow it. You want to build it up. We're not too greedy. I've learned from football that you can go up and come down quick. So we've just been steady with it. We've had some offers and opportunities to go here and go there, but we've wanted to sort of perfect our offering first. And luckily, with where we were in Hale, it allowed us to do that with pressure, but not too much pressure where, you know, we were chasing, you know, super high rent or our bills were way too high. It gave us a bit of breathing space where we could build up slowly, develop our menu and sort of get to a good level of profitability.
What's your favourite product on the menu?
Favourite product
or the best seller?
Is the acai bowl is bestseller. Okay. But I like, there's a smoothie, it's called like the earthy nut smoothie. That's the one you want, like peanut butter, cacao, natural cacao. So it's an antidepressant, basically, cacao. If anyone's listening, cacao, get on it. Dates, so it's like very indulgent, a bit like a healthy Snickers.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, I just want to say, like, you're probably a great definition of why we're doing this podcast. You've showed so many different transitions.
Yeah.
You've obviously played at Everton Academy. You've dropped down all the way to League Two, but you've showed resilience and the right mindset to go all the way back up to the Premier League. You've then dropped down again. You've retired at a young age, which is hard to deal with, but you've turned on to a positive and started your own business, which is flying now and doing great. Well done and made up for you. And obviously, thank you for coming on.
No worries.
Really appreciate it.
Nice one.
We want one of those Snickers.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I think life is highs and lows, in it, you know. And I think what helped me is having unbelievable highs, but then just as well had some deep lows.
Yeah.
So it's just about finding that balance. Like I think I made my international debut and dislocated my shoulder at the same time. So it's like trying to find a place where no matter what happens, whether everything's going swell or everything's in the shitter, you just find
I think that is the best advice for footballers. Like, it's the easy one, but it's like, don't take the highs too high and don't take the lows too low, because football changes so quick.
Yeah. Don't think you've made it.
No.
And don't think you're completely out of it. Because there's times where I hadn't played a game for 2 months and all of a sudden I'm in and I don't miss a game to the end of the season. So just, as you say, having that level, it's hard to have as a young person, but just realizing, like, all right, this isn't the end of the world.
It's a journey, isn't it?
It's a journey. You're going to have some good days, you're going to have some bad days.
Just a few questions before we finish.
Yeah.
I just want to know, obviously now you've retired. Obviously you retired at 31. Do you look back and reflect and think of like any regrets or mistakes, or you should be so proud of your career, but anything that you would have changed looking back now?
The only one that I said to you was the one that I mentioned. the manager. That was the only obvious one where that was a bad decision to make in terms of picking what club to go to. In terms of personally, I think the confidence one is just like ultimately somehow, some way, find supreme confidence in your ability. Even if you're shit and you feel shit, just think you're the best.
It goes a long way.
It goes a long, long way. So yeah, just find a way to have supreme confidence. But one of the best ways to have full confidence is putting your all in, doing all the extra bits, being as fit as you can, being as technical as you can, actually gives you confidence. So I think for me, confidence is the biggest defining thing that I saw players push right on.
And obviously you started doing education when you was at Crawley. You didn't know what you was doing, but you started doing something.
Yeah.
And obviously you was lucky with Plant Boost, really, because it was locked down. You started making smoothie bowls and stuff like that at home.
Yeah.
But what advice would you give to footballers who like to start planning out for the future?
Yeah. I think don't overthink it. I'm a bit of an overthinker, as we touched on a little bit with the players who don't think. And even going into Plant Boost, overthinking.
Yeah.
What's this going to happen? Are we going to make money? Planning it all out. It's good to a certain degree to have a plan, but once you've got like a little bit of a plan, just go and execute.
Figure it out along the way.
That's it. And I feel like
just wing it.
The best people who you think are, oh my God, how have they done that? They just started. You know, they didn't know everything before they got there, and they make mistakes. They learn. It breaks, and they fix it, and they go again. And then if you've done that over a period of 2, 3, 4, 5 years, before you know it, you've got something. You're like, whoa, how did I get here? So just starting, obviously have a plan, figure a few things out, but don't overthink it, and don't really worry about what anyone else is doing, because at the end of the day, it's your life. You have responsibility for your life. Just go and do it. Don't care. There's too much noise out there sometimes. It doesn't matter. I look back to my playing days and voices that you used to hear in your head, and you think, oh my God, they think that, or this person. Look back now, it doesn't matter.
Isn't it?
It's so insignificant.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter. So just have your focus, have your goals, and just keep your head down and go with it.
So for anyone who's watching the podcast, where can they follow the page and see a little bit more about what you do?
Yeah, so we're called The Plant Boost. Fans on Instagram mainly, because it's very visual. So The Plant Boost on Instagram, or plantboost.com if you want to jump on the website. And that's it. Yeah, we're in Hale, South Manchester a minute. There's a lot of Scousers who know about us, because we get Scousers in all every day, really. And obviously we start in Liverpool, so there's a lot of people in Liverpool who know what we do. We are looking to come to Liverpool at some point. We're just trying to find the best. Where do you think the best location Liverpool is for something like that?
Laddie's never out of Lark Lane. He's in Lark Lane every day.
Lark Lane's good.
Yeah. If I had
the clientele that you've got in Hale, I wouldn't say that's Lark Lane.
I know, but
where's good in Liverpool?
It's a
Formby, no for you, maybe.
No,
Crosby, no.
No, I like Lark Lane.
Yeah, no, Lark Lane's my place, mate.
Lark Lane's
to be fair,
I think if I could.
Look at him trying to be posh and all that. They're saying Formby.
I'm going.
What's up with you? Just because he's in Hale.
I'm going off the clientele.
The clientele just because he's in Hale made Lark Lane to go.
Yeah. No, I'm going off the clientele that's worked for him, so don't want to deviate from his.
He's trying to send some Formby for. That's a mission for us, that.
No, true. Maybe you'd have to get your missus down to do the plugs then on social. Because,
get it on for some acai bowls.
100%, mate. 100%. Come down. Get some content, man. Love it.
No.
Thanks very much, mate. Nice one.
Nice one, Hope.
Blast, boys.